Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love. My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th of October of 2023. Thanks so much for joining me in this video. Normally, I do the weekend video on Saturday and Sunday, but this time I am doing it a little bit differently. I'm merging Friday and Saturday's horoscope into one. The reason being is because there's not really a whole lot going on exact aspect wise on Friday the 13th. It's really the build up to the new moon solar eclipse that happens on Saturday. So I'm merging these two into one because we do have a good bit to talk about. And I'm probably going to just keep Sunday by itself on one video, or I may even go live that day. I'm not exactly sure. We'll see how I'm feeling. But we are going to be covering this new moon solar eclipse because that's honestly the most important thing that's happening over the next 48 hours. So we'll start off with Friday, though. We'll start off with Friday the 13th, right? So we still have, of course, this moon here in Libra. It's not going to quite reach the sun yet. It's not going to quite reach it, right? We have Mars, which has clicked into Scorpio, right? So by 12:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mars will click fully in Scorpio at 1 degree. So this is the moment where I feel like something could potentially be birthed in many ways. Whenever a planet hits zero, it's sort of like this placeholder. It's like, okay, what's going to be birthed? What is this transit actually going to, be, right? So it kind of sets the tone. It sets the theme for the entire transit of that planet through that sign, whatever's happening at zero. So Mars clicks into that 1 degree, and of course, what is building up? New moon solar eclipse, which will be happening at 21 degrees of Libra. Interesting enough, we do also have Saturn, which is here at 0 degrees of Pisces. It already hit this degree, so it's retrograding back to this. And Mars is coming off of the trine to Saturn, too, which happened pretty much overnight, but we were feeling it all throughout the day yesterday. So here you wake up to Friday with Mars coming off of that trine. And like I said yesterday, this does present a harmonizing aspect where it does feel like we are given a new mission. Now, the question is, with Saturn being at the zero spot, this placeholder, is that really this is a bit of a wild card, and it really could be anything. Which means that it doesn't necessarily, not all things are going to be born of this. Not all missions that are going to be given are going to be high vibrational in nature, right? In fact, there are some rather low vibrational missions that were given prior to this 0 degree trine between Mars and Saturn. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, of course, that, and I will bring it up too. Hold on, let's see. And it was yep, this stuff right here. And I'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing that screen, but I will share another screen. It's this whole thing, this whole Day of Rage thing that apparently today is supposed to be, Friday the 13th. Interesting how apparently on the Day of Rage, we don't have an exact aspect per se happening in the stars. Not exactly today. So I mean, the moon will come on top of Pallas Athena later on today, and it will make a quincunx over to Jupiter, but that's later towards the day. That's like almost like 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I mean, I guess on the West Coast that's like what, 8 p.m. So we do have that happens. So there's a bit of an awkward energy that presents itself later on in the day, but for most of the day, it's kind of eerily quiet as far as exact aspects. We have some things that are building up. I mean, we do have Pluto, which will be quincunxing over to Black Moon Lilith in Leo at 27 degrees. So we have a couple of things that are happening here. All right. Of course, Aries and the North Node have been traveling with each other, and Aries at 24 degrees. We have a Mercury that's building up to an opposition with Chiron, which will happen exactly tomorrow. But This is if you unless you've been living under a rock and you're not aware of this. Oh gosh, what is this? What happened here? I got like a bunch of ink on my hands and I don't even know how that happened. Weird. But yeah, this whole Day of Rage thing where I can't remember what the dude's name was, but someone was declaring this day as a day of rage. And you can already start to see that so NYPD on high alert ahead of threatened global day of rage. And it's not just the NYPD. I'm pretty sure they're, mobilizing, police in major cities across the United States and maybe even the world. Now, do I think anything's going to happen today? I'm not sure. Astrology says that it will probably be more of like a buildup of that. It may just be a bit of a smokescreen for what's actually going to happen. But Mars does click into that 1 degree. So we do have to take that into consideration, right? So, like I said, when Mars trined over to Saturn, and like I said, Saturn is the mob boss and Mars is the foot soldier. When they trined at 0 degrees, this was, I believe, Saturn giving Mars a new mission. And since it happened at 0 degrees, it really, like I said, could be anything. It's a bit of a wild card. Mars does click to 1 degree today. So we have to take that into consideration. It's in the deck and ruled by Pluto. Pluto's here in Capricorn, which is now direct. So I feel like Friday is sort of this eerie build-up to a new moon. Now, generally, new moons are meant to be a time of renewal, right? It's a new moon. It's a renewal. Generally, a lot of people like to say that you start different things around new moons and you plant seeds during new moons. But this new moon is really anything but. It's a ring of fire. It's not exactly total, but it's like 98, 99%. So it might as well be. It's incredibly close to the south node. And like I said, it's of course happening where the sun is in its fall position. This might as well feel like a full moon. This might as well feel like an energy where it is really cutting off a lot of the energies that we experienced with last year's eclipse that happened in Scorpio. And if you want, we can just go back and just take a look at that one real quick. Which you can see that one happened here at 2 degrees of Scorpio. I'm just going back, just to kind of show you guys that this is essentially the energy that's being kind of cut off. Moon was in Libra, then it clicked to, then they met up at 2 degrees. This was the eclipse from last year at 2 degrees. Now look, Venus is also here at 2 degrees for that eclipse, right? So Mercury is where this eclipse will be occurring. It's within a degree of it, at 22 degrees, right? So Pluto, of course, was at 26 degrees. It'll be at 27 degrees for this particular eclipse. And you can see Eris was still, of course, here at 24 degrees. Jupiter was still in Aries. Neptune was in Pisces. Mars was over there in Gemini. So definitely it looked a lot different. But this new solar eclipse that we're having right now is going to be cutting off the eclipse energies from this new moon eclipse that we had in Scorpio last year at 2 degrees. Now, what's interesting too is that Mars, like I said, for this eclipse will be at 1 degree. It won't quite get to 2 degrees, but there's definitely going to be this element where this whole story is done. All right, this story right here is done. Okay. Now we are moving into a new story. All right. And it definitely is going to feel like the world is shifting, like for like ever. Like it's this new moon solar eclipse. It's an interesting one. It's a difficult new moon. If there's people out there that are really going to be trying to do new things for this new moon and set new goals and intentions and trying, like, it's not that kind of a new moon. You know, it's not that kind of a new moon. Mars just got out of Libra. So we are definitely being called to take our positions. And it's going to be whether or not we really, what side are we going to pick, or do we pick a side? But right now, there's a lot of energy out there, a lot of propaganda, a lot of people trying to sway your opinions and ideas on what way to go, who to pick, what side to pick. And it's not just in relation to what's happening in Israel and Palestine. This is just in general. There's going to be a lot of this happening right now. So, you know, you move the moon forward, like I said, you're not going to see it do too much. Mars is at 1 degree. It's going to stay at 1 degree the entire day. By the end of the day, you're going to see the moon come on top of Pallas Athena. Like I said, 11:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right? You see Mercury here at 16 degrees, getting ready to oppose Chiron. Right? And the sun here is a degree away from where it's going to be, having this new moon solar eclipse. It's a weird and eerie kind of a day. You know, Interesting enough, of course, we do have the moon at 13 degrees, which makes the king comes over to Jupiter at 13 degrees on Friday the 13th. So, like I said, there is a bit of an awkward energy here, right? The moon here in the decan ruled by Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus, where it does not like to be. So, it doesn't really give the moon that much of a boost. If anything, it kind of detracts a little bit from the moon. And then, of course, this king comes in Jupiter, which is offline in Taurus, where we could definitely make ourselves feel like we're a bit deflated, like we don't have enough. And it can feel like, we may, question the value that we bring to the table, too, especially with the moon in Libra. We're looking to connect and find some sort of balance and peace and harmony, but we may question the value that we bring to the table. You know, that's why Palestina is coming in here to kind of remind us. It's like, you know, think about this critically. You know what I mean? I think this is a time where we have to, take stock and of what we do have, take inventory of our life. I feel like today, especially with the Venus now that's in Virgo, this is a day where we kind of do take inventory, of our life. Examine, like, where are we? What are we doing? Who are the people in our life? Who are the most influential people in our life? What do we believe? What are our values? Um, and to kind of see those things, to appreciate the things that we do have, but also not be afraid to strive for more. We have to find this balance between humility and, you know, desire is not necessarily the word, although the desire was the first word that came to mind. I think that's mainly because Mars is in Scorpio, but there's a resilient nature to these transits right now, because it's one thing to be humble and to appreciate what you have, but are you going to be too humble to the point where you deny yourself of striving for more, for going for more, right? And not get in your head and think that going for more means that you don't appreciate what you already have, because there's that element too. Especially, you see that rampant in the spiritual community, especially when it comes to matters of money and finances, where it's like you should just be happy for what you have. Yeah, but ask yourself, what is it you want what is it that you want to experience? What is it you want to do? You will probably have more of an impact spiritually and as a light worker if you master all of the signs, not just Pisces, not just Sag, not just Cancer, right? Not just Aquarius, but all of the signs. And one of the signs that spiritual people have the most difficulty with is Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. Probably, honestly, all earth signs. It's what spiritual people struggle with the most, generally, those energies. So today's a day that kind of reminds us, like I said, to take inventory of what we have, take stock of what we have going on, and to, analyze it, not overanalyze it. Mercury's not in Virgo anymore. But another thing about this too is that Venus is going to be in Virgo and not retrograde in Virgo. And all of our lives, Venus will retrograde in Virgo and go back into Leo. Now Venus comes into Virgo and it doesn't have to retrograde. So there can be almost like a weird sort of like PTSD and worry with the whole Venus going to Virgo, where we think that's going to go back into Leo. And we're worried that, that's going to happen. It doesn't happen this time. So this is the first time in all of our lives where we really can take stock of our life and the things that we have and see, okay, what is it that we really do appreciate? Venus will be going forward the entire time in Virgo. It's not going to retrograde. It's not going to go through a review period. Love you, Burbs. Have a wonderful day. Drive safe. You too. So that's the thing. We got to think about that, Think about what Venus in Virgo is, right? Venus in Virgo, it's in its fall position. Doesn't really want to be there. Would rather be at home in Libra. Venus is focusing on all the details. It's, all of the things that goes into putting on like the makeup and everything like that. It's the time before she feels really beautiful, right? It's doing the chores. It's the chores, right? And what's interesting is that Venus would always retrograde in Virgo and then go back into Leo. So it's like, okay, the chores that we're doing, and then there's this retrograde that goes back into Leo where it's like it's more focused on the heart, it's more focused on our joy, our passion, right? So I was asking us, it's like the chores that we are doing, do they support our heart-centered truth? Now Venus goes into Virgo and it doesn't have to worry about that. So it's all focused on the day-to-day grind, the chores. So there is, like I said, this weird PTSD moment where we may be like, we've already went through that whole thing. We had the whole thing in Leo. So now this presents a different kind of energy that no one alive is used to. Just think about that, all right? As you can see, and we'll do it even for the West Coast, right? So I think by the West Coast, 327, 227, 127, 1220. Yeah, so by the time that it clicks into midnight on the West Coast, the moon is 15 degrees. So it's getting closer to Mercury, right? And Mars is just a little over halfway through that degree. I think it's interesting that the moon and Mars actually meet up at 2 degrees, which, like I said, is going to kind of give us like the sort of reflection period back to the last eclipse last year. So if you think about what you were doing last year around this time, or actually a little bit further, probably like, because it'll be at 21 degrees, will be the 15th. So yeah, like like those third to fourth week of October last year, is when that eclipse happened, right? So if you think back to what you were doing back then. Now, let's actually look at the eclipse itself. Here's the new moon solar eclipse that'll be occurring at 1:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 21 degrees of Libra. We do, of course, at the same time have Mercury in Libra making an opposition to Chiron in Aries. Mars still at that 1 degree point and not even a full degree off of the trine to Saturn. We have a Venus which has moved to 5 degrees of Virgo, and a black moon Lilith and Juno conjunct at 28 degrees of Leo. If you think that this is a new moon to plant new seeds, you might find that these seeds don't really do much. Why? Because we have to clear. There's a lot of clearing that's happening with this new moon. A lot of clarity that's happening with the new moon. And really, honestly, any eclipse is kind of like that, but especially this one. All right. It's gonna be a pretty intense one, guys. I'm not gonna lie. If you and I know I'm not really explaining much about why I'm getting to that, but I'm hoping just even you know the way I'm making this video, the dramatic pauses and stuff, my facial expressions, it's gonna be a bit of a doozy. So let's just break it down a little bit, right? So 21 degrees, 2 + 1 is 3. 3 in numerology is ruled by Jupiter, right? Now, the degree that it's at, 21 degrees, it's going to be in the decan ruled by Mercury. And Mercury, of course, is here in Libra with it, within 4 degrees, right? So this is a new moon where, of course, we are wanting to try and find balance and harmony. But the fact of the matter is that balance and harmony comes with hard work. It's not something that's going to be automatic. This is a day where people are going to be striving to try and find that. And what's weird about it is that now that Mars is coming off of that trine to Saturn and he's got his new marching orders, this is where people with all the passion in the world will start to champion whatever cause they feel is going to unite the world. But is it actually going to unite the world? Probably not. Depending upon the vibration of those actions. If it's higher vibrational, then absolutely. But we have to realize is that there is going to be this element where people are going to be trying to convert people, bring people to their side. You want to be on this side of the scale, not on that side of the scale. Come to this side of the scale. We're the good side of the scale. We're the elite side of the scale. Fuck the other side of the scale. Right? A Mercury in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries. You want to talk about people shouting from the rooftops about how they have been hurt, damaged, oppressed, put down, made a victim of. This new moon is with the South Node, not the North Node. It's with the South Node. South Node is the past. The South Node is what is to be given up. The South Node is what is to be cut away from. The South Node are the energies that you are kind of naturally born with. So it's like your propensities. But you are to go towards the North Node generally. That is what you are to develop in this lifetime. So what are we developing? Strength, courage, in the face of adversity, and in the face of what we perceive to be our woundings and our hurt. But what do we come from? What is this being born from? A Mars that is leading the way now in Scorpio. It's a trining of Saturn at 0 degrees. The universe is giving us all an opportunity to really, I'm not going to say pick a side, but I would say pick a vibration, right? Now, being that this is at 21 degrees, 2 + 1 is 3, like I said, which is Jupiter, this is definitely a new moon solar eclipse about beliefs. About beliefs. And with Mars here, of course, like I said, coming off this energy, you can see that when it comes to the beliefs, humans have been at war this entire damn time. This entire time. But look, it's in diplomatic Libra. This is not a time to be. It's kind of weird. This is a time, I don't know if this is necessarily a time to not be diplomatic, but this is a time where diplomacy breaks down. This is a time where diplomacy, the way that it has been practiced, is not going to move us in the direction that seeks to uplift humanity. We have to find some sort of balance. The balance that we find on a day like this with the new moon solar eclipse is whether or not we are willing to fight for what is right, fight for the truth. Now, everyone is going to be having their different truths. They're want to speak their truth and stuff like that, right? They're going to want to speak their truth. Think about this too. The South Node, in many ways, does represent kind of like, the circumstances that you were born to, if you will. But you're meant to go towards the North Node, which is what your legacy, what you're meant to build and stuff, right? So, in many ways, we are confronting a lot of the circumstances that we were born to, right? And let's just look at all of this energy right here, right? Pallas Athena. She guards Athens, right? The patron saint, patron goddess of Athens. She guards Athens. And in many ways, like I said, Athens is like that home. It's that home base, right? So she's guarding that energy, right? So think about that as your home, right? Mercury, we're only within 3 degrees, right? And this is in many ways a lot of things that you were taught. Language, right? New moon, solar eclipse in Libra, 21 degrees. Oh, shoot. Well, this definitely has to do with relationships. What's the first relationship that you have, besides the one with yourself, is with your parents, right? And then they start to instill certain beliefs in you, right? South Node in Libra, right? The relationships that you are born to, relationships that you can't control. Although I do believe that you pick your parents when you come here. But the relationships that you don't really control. Born to a set of parents, right? Your siblings, you don't control that. There are certain things that you don't control. And then you have Mars and Scorpio, right? Where we start to try and find our identity within this, but since it's at 1 degree of Scorpio, it is a time where we are really finding ourselves, right? It's a very youthful kind of Scorpio. These first decan Scorpios, it's desire tends to really drive a lot of their actions and stuff like that. And that's not a bad thing either, because desire isn't inherently bad. It's just, that is what generally drives them. And they can be a little bit more Scorpio than generally when people think of like, oh my gosh, you're a Scorpio. That's like the first decan of Scorpio. That's generally what people are kind of feeling. Is that first decan of Scorpio, right? Mars is there, right? So there's this whole thing, this whole world that we are born to all of these interesting circumstances, right? The home, who we learn language from, our parents, things that we can't control. We maybe take on our parents' faith too, because they have certain faith, and they would instill that in us. But we are meant to, of course, go out and find our own. We're meant to kind of go out and discover what it is that resonates with us, right? Now, the problem here is that you're going to have a lot of people that can't accept the other people have different opinions than them. And then they feel like they need to change them. But they need to change them. I'm going to say this, and someone already said it too, but it is in many ways true. And the degree doesn't lie. This is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war. And it has manifested itself physically multiple times over the course of humanity. And it is manifesting itself again. The spiritual war is manifesting itself physically again. I would say the Ukraine-Russia one was more over resources, right? And then This thing with Israel and Palestine is the physical manifestation of the spiritual war that we've already been in, that we've been in for a while. So, and it's only going to get more heated. Like, I think with the daylight today, with these kind of energies, we have, like I said, we're taking stock, we're taking inventory of our life, and we have to ask ourselves, what things can be cut off so I can actually be renewed. There's a great opportunity here for a phoenix rising kind of moment. I'm not gonna lie, but in order for the phoenix to rise, we have to be willing to let go of things. And I think that's one thing that we don't talk about with the new moon. Everyone says that, of course, the full moon is when you release things. The full moon is when things come to a head. The full moon is when things present themselves and they come out, right? The full moon is when you notice the weed, when it comes into full view and focus. Whether or not you actually cut the weed is another story. In order for us to have a new beginning, we had to end something. So new moons, I feel, are more so when we cut something away so we can start something new, right? So with this one, what is it that we're cutting away? Outdated beliefs, perhaps? This feeling that that everyone around us needs to have the same opinion as us or the same belief as us. What could be cutting away is this belief that what we feel like we're bringing to the table, belief-wise, is what's going to bring harmony for all of humanity. Or at least we're worried about the timing of it. That's the other thing. That's the timing aspect of this too. My goal as an astrologer is to teach this language because it is a language, right? I'm not out here trying to convince everyone to become astrologers. I'm here wanting to just simply teach the language of it so everyone can have like a basic understanding of this language, because this language right here, these stars, these planets, the way that they move, which is predetermined, right? And we calculate this. It's not like Mars is going to suddenly start moving faster than it already does at its full speed. It's not like the moon is just going to start moving backwards, right? It's not like Uranus is just going to suddenly go direct tomorrow. No, this shit is predetermined. So this is something that we are all, like I said, influenced by, whether we want to believe in it or not. I'm not asking everyone to become an astro nerd like me. I do believe, and that's the whole thing too, I do believe that having a basic understanding of astrology can help you to navigate and see the patterns of what happens when certain planets reach certain points. Because when certain planets reach certain points, that's when things really kick off. Last time Uranus was in Taurus at these degrees, World War II. Last time that we had Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, what was it, like 1500s or something like that? I think that's what it was. I gotta check exactly, right? Pluto return and Capricorn for America, Revolutionary War. So that's the thing about this. This is about pattern recognition. And we as humans, we are good at pattern recognition. It's just for some reason, when it comes to the pattern recognition of the sky, people freak out and think that you're doing some sort of weird divination or something like that. But I do feel like just having a basic understanding of astrology, being able to look at this and actually kind of understand it from like even a basic standpoint, is a skill that I think everyone should have, right? And like I said, it's a language too. So that's the thing about this. I'm not expecting everyone to be an absolute nerd like me and just go around looking up different dates and seeing these different, doing all that sort of stuff. I'm not expecting people to do that. It's just like, shoot, like, what's another example? Like, I think it's probably good for everyone to know how to cook, but that doesn't mean that you need to cook like a freaking, master chef in a, Michelin 3-star restaurant. I'm not expecting that they're not expecting you to do that, but that's what this kind of is. It's sort of, there's an energy out here where you have people that are metaphorically are like a master chef at a 3-star Michelin restaurant, expecting everyone to be able to cook to that degree. We all bring different things to the table, and that's really what this whole Aries energy is. We all bring different things to the table. So how can we create a world where we bring our best selves to the table and it works seamlessly? That's what we're trying to do here. So we can actually move the vibration of this planet into that higher dimensional frequency. Right? So, I mean, Moon's going to also conjunct the North Node, conjunct the South Node, oppose the North Node and Eris. And then, of course, going into Sunday, Moon is going to square Pluto. What happens when the Moon squares Pluto? Mars hits 2 degrees of Scorpio. That's where the new moon solar eclipse happened last year. It was at 2 degrees, and Venus was there. And what's interesting too is that Jupiter clicks to 12 degrees. 1 plus 2 is 3. This whole weekend is a massive spiritual inventory. We are all taking inventory, and is the task that we have been avoiding for such a long time. So, how can we have fun with this? I don't know, play some music, dance, you know what I mean? Appreciate life, meditate. It's probably be a great weekend for meditation. But if we take things too far to try and just feel a little bit better, if we try and find some sort of edge this weekend, try and seek super excitement and just find yourself in some weird ass places, this is not an energy to really fuck with, right? It's not an energy to really fuck with, right? Especially with all this Libra energy, especially with Venus now in Virgo, right? It's going to be a bit of a mental time, honestly, this weekend, So you have to dig deep and find your resolve with something like this, because the letting go process of this weekend and taking inventory and realizing that maybe some of the items that we have kept in our inventory are clogging up our assets. A little bit of retail talk here, right? They're clogging up the assets. Maybe the item is retired. You haven't been able to sell that item? Okay, we got to be willing to cut our losses. Boy, I still want to make money off of this. Cut your losses. It is a drain on your energy and your resources to keep that thing in stock. Run a sale or give it away so you can get the new and improved version of you in here, and be willing to sell yourself. Not sell your soul, but you have to be willing to sell yourself confidently. So many people are afraid to sell themselves and put themselves out there. But you got to put yourself out there. That's how the world changes. If you really want to change the world, if you really want to be a light worker, if you really are going to walk this path, you can't do so and not put yourself out there. Start making videos. Start meeting people. Start going out into your community. Start making a difference. Start making a change. Start talking to people. Get out there. Be loud. Tell it like how it is, with compassion and kindness, of course. Respectfully, of course. You can't just do so from the comfort of your home, and that's all you do. You got to get out there. You got to actually meet people. The world introverts don't change the world. And if they do change the world, more than likely they somehow got taken advantage of along the way. Maybe all their work got stolen, or they didn't get paid for that shit. I think Edgar Allan Poe is one of them. Didn't get paid for any of that shit. The world is not fair. The world is not fair, beloved. And that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, especially within the spiritual community. But I think a lot of people struggle with that. And they may get mad, they may get pissed off at people. And a lot of their anger probably is misdirected, thinking that, oh, because this person has more than me, that means that they are oppressing people. One thing that comes to mind are like landlords. The vast majority of landlords in this country are working class people, but people will look at them and think that they're slumlords. While you do have these larger businesses are going up and buying up a bunch of properties and shit, you see that a little bit more. But a lot of landlords, the vast majority of landlords, are just working class people. They have like maybe 1 or 2 properties, but they're still working people. They're not sitting in a freaking they're not sitting in like a penthouse, or they have like some sort of office on the 50th floor of a building somewhere in New York or California. They're not doing that. They're working. But then people will look at those people and then they'll be like, oh, they have more than me. Oh my gosh, because they have this, they must be a slumlord. They must be, oppressing. No. This is the weekend of making assumptions and believing wholeheartedly in those assumptions, and people taking actions on those assumptions. And just like I said, I pray and I hope that we make it through this weekend. And I know we will make it through this weekend because we're very resilient. I'm just saying that, this is a moment here, like I said, where we are taking inventory of our life and we're realizing, okay, what is clogging up the assets? What can we let go of so we can bring that new product in, right? And we probably already know what that new thing is. It's flashy, but maybe the cost is a little bit higher. Maybe the retail price is going to be a little bit higher. And then we got to try and convince our guests, our customers to buy that thing, right? We know its value and stuff, but are we willing to take on the risk of bringing that high dollar item in? And then do we have the confidence to sell that bitch? That's what it comes down to. So I think this could be one of the most powerful new moon solar eclipses of our lifetime. That being said, because it's one of the most powerful new moon solar eclipses of our lifetime, it is probably going to be one of the most challenging. So it's going to require us to dig deep, find our resolve, find our resilience, and move forward and know that we can make it through this, right? When it's not that we disregard our emotions and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna lie, this new moon solar eclipse is kind of like it's kind of saying fuck your emotions. It's like fuck your feelings, kind of, right? When the going gets tough, are you going to get going? Are you going to get going? Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it may hurt. Yeah, it may not be fair, but you gotta keep it going. You gotta find the resilience. Because if you don't, these energies will eat you alive. So this is a spiritual war, and you are far too powerful to allow this shit to take you under. I'm telling you, beloved, if you're watching this, especially, you are far too powerful and far too self-aware to allow this shit to take you under. I'm using my shaman deck today for this one. It's funny. I don't always clear my cards. In fact, I seldom clear my cards. I cleared these after I did a reading last week. And the cards thanked me afterwards. I could feel it. I can actually feel it just by shuffling these cards. There was a lot of stuck energy, not only in the cards, but in just the person I was doing the reading for. So this reading here, this tarot reading at the end of this video, is meant to get your ass unstuck. And whatever is stuck in the inventory of your life, to finally let that bitch go, free that shit up, so you can get that new and improved version of yourself. I think everyone's like, yeah, it's in Libra, so everyone's going to be talking about relationships and stuff, but the most important relationship that you have is with yourself and with God. That's the most important one that you have, right? So you're going to be going through this inventory with God, too. Just think about this. So I believe in you, beloved. I know that you can do it. I know that you can make it through. I know it may seem weird, it seems crazy, and you may want to stick your head in the sand and not see all of the things that are happening in the world. But if you really want to change the world, you have to be aware of these things, not allow it to emotionally dictate your vibration. You have to remain in emotional, or not emotional, but emotional integrity, but vibrational integrity through all of this. How can we maintain vibrational integrity through all of this? Being aware of the things that are happening in the world, but doing what we can to lift our vibration and therefore the vibration of those around us. That's what it comes down to. Because if you stick your head in the sand too long and shit does hit the fan, are you prepared to do something? I have the 8 of Cups in reverse. 8 of Gemstones. This is a card that does talk about releasing and letting things go. Being able to walk away from things confidently. 8 of Cups in reverse. We're not walking away confidently. It's going to be a bit of a struggle, right? We also have the Magician card, though. So we can change that shit. We can change the outcome of that. It's going to be difficult to walk away from certain things this weekend. And it may be actually people, it may be situations, it may be emotions, it may be a belief that you held about yourself for so long. And maybe that thing did at one point provide you some sort of comfort. But now it is time to move outside of our comfort zone and become the magician in our life and realize that we are meant to experience the wide range of emotions, the wide range of things. We're going to experience those 3 of Swords moments in our life. We're going to experience those Tower moments. We're going to have the Star moments. We're going to have the Chariot moments, right? We're going to have the 3 of Cup moments, right? We're going to have those 5 of Wand moments in our life, right? We're going to have the 9 of Pentacle moments in our life, the 7 of Pentacle moments in our life, right? We're going to have the Judgment moments in our life, right? We're going to experience all of it. The World card in reverse. The world is definitely going to feel like it's upside down. It's definitely going to feel like it's upside down. And it's going to be tough to let go of a world that feels like it's upside down. How do you flip this right side up? By being the magician. By being the magician. Bottom of the deck, we had the Chariot card in reverse. What world do you want to be a part of? You want to be part of a world where people utilize their beliefs to dominate and subjugate people? A world where people make themselves into a sort of deity instead of working as a co-creator with God? You want to be part of a world where you can't let go of those things that once gave you comfort, but now are actually holding you back? This is a time where, it could definitely feel like this definitely does not feel like a victory lap. This weekend does not feel like a victory lap. It feels like we got to the finish line and we placed 5th. At least we placed better than we thought we were going to place. We placed 5th. So that feeling kind of burns. It sucks. It hurts. Right? But allow this moment to teach you and to educate you. Allow this moment to, encourage you to move forward, to become that greater version of yourself. And yeah, you're still going to fall down in the future. You're still going to mess up. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen, right? Mistakes are going to happen, right? I'm going to cut the deck. Six of Pentacles, upright. Six of Pentacles, upright. The greatest service that we can give to humanity is by playing the song that is in our hearts. I'll repeat that. The greatest gift that we can give to humanity is by playing the song that is in our hearts. When every single one of us can play the song that is in our heart, we all will naturally harmonize with each other. But right now, things feel discordant, out of tune. Got to replace the strings of some of these instruments. We got to tune our frequency. Got to tune these instruments, right? That's what this whole weekend is about. So we got to retune ourselves. Now, it depends upon what you're tuning yourself into. Are you going to tune yourself to a frequency that is in natural rhythm and creates that beautiful geometric symmetry? Or are you going to tune into those frequencies that cause disorder and chaos? And the funny thing about the disorder and chaos is that some people are going to be tuning into that thinking that it's the harmonious one. But that's not the case. It's not the case. There is one truth. There is one truth. The truth is the truth. The truth shall set you free, and the truth will come out at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. So that's going to do it for your new moon solar eclipse video in Libra for this October 13th and 14th of 2023. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit of a different one, bit of a different energy, but I really do feel called to, and I'll even just take a moment here, just to close your eyes, and let's all take a deep breath together, God, I thank you for this moment. I thank you for this day. I thank you for all of the amazing, beautiful opportunities that you have brought to my life and the amazing people that I've met and the amazing skills that I've been imbued with this year. These are challenging times for humanity, and we all can definitely feel the pressures on right now. And I pray that, people continue to embrace their loved ones. I pray that people embrace vibrational integrity and keep that higher vibration. I pray that people do find the peace and harmony in their lives. And I pray that people have the strength to fight when they feel like they are backed into a corner. I pray that we all can come together and definitely find that harmony, even though the harmony does not really seem to be there right now. But that we can make it through this, that we can be resilient, that we can be strong, and that we can move forward in a positive, powerful direction so we can uplift the vibration of this planet and really move forward. I pray that all the light workers in the world come up, and move forward and shine bright and aren't afraid to express who they really are, afraid to express the truth that you imbued within them. And because we are all light workers ultimately, just whether or not people realize that mission that you've given them. But I pray that we all remain strong, that we all remain passionate, and we have the courage and bravery to really express who we are, to express ourselves and be vulnerable with this world and show this world who we are, what we are made of, and how we came here to make a positive difference and impact and change in this place, because this is a very beautiful world that you have given us, and we do not want to take it for granted. Thank you. Amen. Y'all take care. Have a blessed day. I will see y'all on the next astrology forecast. Peace.